Here we go then.
Jeremy, would you like to start us, Guy?
How you doing, fellas? Right? Yeah, good.
Hello, Roy. Nice to see you again.
Sorry.
I'm like a midget here again. Right?
Just 1 second. If you lift it up, I think you have to. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. It's nice to be able to see above the table.
Yeah.
I'm not that tall, but I'm not, haven't reached the 7 dwarfs stage yet.
Okay.
Right, who's going to start then?
Jeremy is.
Hello,
Sky.
Roy. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
You had a long injury list going into the international break. Is there better news, and can you tell us who's available and not available for this game?
Yes, I can. It is better news, although we lost James Tompkins yesterday, unfortunately, to a calf injury. He's had a scan today. I hope it's not a serious one, but that was a bit of a blow because until yesterday he was there as well. But we're down now really to Elise, Eze and Henderson, who've been injured for a period of time, and Jeff Schlupp, who came off injured in our last game against Notts Forest, and although he's getting quickly better, he's not recovered, unfortunately, for the game tomorrow. And then the only other one, really, you could say, who hasn't been the first team squad for a while now, unfortunately, the poor lad, is Nathan Ferguson. But the good news with him is that he's now, playing some games for the under-23 team and making progress. So even that's very positive news.
Can you give us an ETA on Elise and Eze and also Tompkins?
Tompkins I can't because he's having the scan today, but I mean he was training perfectly well until he felt his calf yesterday, so I'm hoping that won't be a massive blow. The other two are making good progress, but it's hard to get ETAs because the doctor is very cautious about when they can be allowed back in, because unfortunately it's the sort of injury that's difficult to really test. But there's a risk that if you don't get the testing done to the nth degree and you throw people in, you could cause some damage. So getting closer, there's no doubt about that, but I couldn't really tell you when.
Roy, the news coming out of Newcastle this morning is that Sandro Tonali can play in this game, even though he's facing a possible ban for betting. What's your reaction to that news?
No, I don't have any reaction at all. It's nothing to do with me one way or the other. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for Newcastle that they faced this situation. It must be a bitter blow to sign somebody that you believe in as much as they obviously do believe in Sandro Tonali, and then to find, after paying a lot of money, that maybe you can't use him for a long period of time. That must be a very difficult situation for Eddie Howe and Dan Ashworth and what the club to deal with. But it doesn't affect us one way or the other. If Newcastle want to play him, then good luck to them. If they decide they don't, then that's their decision.
I guess over the years, Roy, you've seen players with a variety of personal issues. Just on gambling in football, how much of this have you seen personally, and how much of a problem would you say it is?
Well, I think we know it's a problem. We know that gambling is a problem in our society, and we don't help it really in sport because we promote betting. So I think it's a problem that we should take more seriously, perhaps than we have done. We've certainly made big strides with drugs, that's for sure. We've made big strides with alcohol. Maybe gambling and betting will be the next subject to take on, because I'm not just talking football now, I'm talking about society in general. So it's not surprising, with all the problems that gambling does bring to our society, that footballers sometimes get caught up in it. And unfortunately for them, when they do get caught up in it, the punishments are very strict.
Yeah, and have you seen it? I mean, how damaging it is?
No, I haven't actually, to be fair. I can't think back to a time when I'm certain there's been players in clubs that I've worked at who have been quite serious gamblers and spent plenty of money on betting, but they've done it in their own time and it hasn't impacted on me or the football club.
Just on the game then, Roy, 3 games with Newcastle last season, they were all 0-0. Even the Carabao went to penalties after a 0-0 in 90. So a goal fest this weekend?
Well, I think both teams are well organised defensively. I don't think either team's an easy team to score against. So, but I mean, goal fest is often a question of hazard, really. Sometimes chances are not taken, and sometimes they are, and that impacts very strongly upon the result of the game. But I think that neither team is a particularly defensive-minded team. Certainly Newcastle will look to the 8 goals they scored recently and say, well, we certainly aren't a defensive team. and I don't think we are either, for that matter. But you're only as good as the opponents allow you to be. And we know we have to work very hard if we want to create goal chances against this very strong Newcastle team.
Yeah, you did a great job at Old Trafford, of course. Can you repeat that up at St James's Park?
Well, I'd like to think so. There's no reason why we should go there thinking otherwise. But each game it's a new story every time you play, and I think it's very dangerous to try and project onto a new story something which is from a past story. So, but that result up there should give the players and the team some confidence. That was a difficult game, 75,000 people, a lot of pressure from the crowd. The same will happen against Newcastle. Their backing by the 50,000 is quite incredible. But we know that we are capable of dealing with those things, and most importantly of all, the team's got to produce the football necessary, and that's what we're hoping we will see.
Just finally on Eddie and Newcastle, the money that's going in there is spectacular. The sky feels like it's the limit. What do you make of what's going on at Newcastle right now?
Well, I don't think that Eddie's success is due to the fact that he's gone and bought a new team by splashing out enormous sums of money. They've bought some very good players, and good players do cost money, and they've had to pay the asking price for those players. But I would say, looking at it from the outside, that what he and Dan Ashworth have done together, they've built a very good football team, and they've brought players into the club which suit the philosophy and make the team that they've got a better team, because they're not all superstars, they're not all players that have cost 50, 60 million, but the ones they have bought for a bit more money have been perfect for their team and the way that Eddie wants the team to play. So I think he's done an outstandingly good job, because when he came in, they were, fighting relegation, and now they're in the Champions League. You can't do much better than that when you get given the chance to take on a club of Newcastle's, I say stature, because of the fact they have such incredible support. I mean, Newcastle really is very much a one-city team. Everyone around Newcastle, from miles around, all they care about is Newcastle United. Now that puts a lot of pressure on the coaches and players to produce a winning team, and that's exactly what he's done. So hats off to him.
Thank you. Jake from PLP.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
You mentioned the United game, but your away form in general has been pretty good. 7 out of your 12 points have come on the road. How have you managed that, and what is it maybe about? Is there anything about playing away that maybe you feel you're better suited?
Well, I don't tote up the points we get at home and away. I don't do that. I take each game as it comes. I didn't know we'd taken. How many points do you say from? 7 out of 12. Yeah. I think that's just because obviously in some of the away games we play, we've obviously played well. At least in one of those games was the opening game against the newcomer Sheffield United, where we actually played well and got the 3 points. If we'd have played the opening game in Arsenal and lost it, then it wouldn't be 7 points out of 12. It'd be 4 points out of 12. So that's how easy it is to skew a picture. But we don't have enormous differences in the way we approach our home and our away game. We work hard all the time on what we would like to do defensively and offensively as a team. We tailor that to some extent to the teams we're playing, or we highlight when we're playing a new team some of the things we will have to pay extra attention to. But we don't pay attention to, well, this is away, therefore, this is at home, therefore. We don't operate in that way. So I'm happy that the away form's been good, but what I really need is for the form every time we go out on the field to play, home or away, to be good and give us a chance of winning the game.
I don't know if you know, but Newcastle, points-wise, is their best start to a season since 2011. Firstly,
I don't know any statistics.
Well, okay, now
I'm learning all the time.
How impressive do you think that is, considering that perhaps they maybe did above expectation last season to then carry it over into the beginning of this season?
I think I expected them to carry it over. I thought they finished last season quite brilliantly. They were one of the best teams in the league, that's for sure. And when things did get a little stickier for them at the end, because it looked at one stage they were just going to breeze into the Champions League, when they had to dig in and get a few results, they did that as well. So I'd have been very surprised if their start of the season hasn't been good. But I mean, I don't follow statistics, but I do know where they are in the table, and I do know how many points they got, and they've got one more point than us. So I would suggest that would point to the fact that both of us have had reasonable starts to the season. They might have wanted a lot more because they did so at the end of last season, but you know, after their start of losing the first 2 games, I'm pretty certain Eddie won't be too disappointed with the 13 points they have.
I was going to mention your start as well. Obviously, more or less picking up where you left off from last season. What would you say then, as a manager, more generally, is maybe the secret to that, and how tricky is that to carry it?
I think we could have done more had we not been hit by this enormous injury crisis. I think the 2 players really who were quite influential last year in the way we played, we've had to play without both Elise and Eze. I don't think many teams would like to lose 2 such influential players for virtually the first part of the season. So in that respect, I think we've relied very heavily on the guys who got us through last year, and I'm hoping that life will become a bit easier for everybody when 2 such influential players do come back in the team, especially as they're in that attacking area of the field where players are hardest to find.
And just lastly, another stat for you. Hodgson Edwards scored 4 goals this season already. He only managed 5 in the Premier League last season. What do you put his goal scoring this season down to, and is that something that you discussed with him over the summer?
Well, you know, whenever you get that question, you know, someone's doing this, you know, someone's defending well, or goalkeepers are keeping the ball out of the back of the net, and you get the question, have you spoken to him about it? I always find that a very difficult question to answer. I mean, what do people out there think we do every day? You know, we do come in every day. We do work for an hour and a half on the field of play. We do spend 3 or 4 hours a week in meetings going through with players how we're going to play and what we'd like them to do. So I find it a little bit difficult to come to terms or to identify with that question of what have you said to him. They're the sort of questions, you know, you get after games, you know, when you're doing badly in the first half and then the second half goes better and someone says, what do you say at half time? It might just be, how many sugars do you want in your tea?
Thank you, Roy. Best of luck.
Alex.
Hi, Roy. Someone that wasn't on that injury list was Matthias Francho, is it right?
No, he's not injured.
He's not, so is he available?
He's a candidate, yeah.
And how has he been in training? What have you made him now he's back?
Training's training, you know, we need to see him in games, really. That's what we need to do. We're going to have to get him into either the first team, you know, when he knocks someone off their perch and gets into the team, or gets on as a substitute, or we need to watch him in an under-23 game, because at the moment, as far as we're concerned, the coaching staff, all we've seen are the highlights of his matches in Flamengo. But we still wait really to see the evidence of him as a player in a team environment, but in training he's fine. He works hard, he does the right thing. I think that he's coming to terms with the way we try to work. He's getting to know his teammates, and most importantly of all, he's been extremely good, I think, in picking up the language so quickly and to be able to understand all the things we're saying to him and asking of him.
So say some players it takes them a bit longer, doesn't it, to adapt to the Premier League and senior football. He's quite young himself. How has he been doing adapting to, like you say, the instructions you've been giving him and the level of training? Yes,
as I say, I think that his English has improved quicker than I thought I was entitled to expect. He's obviously quite bright. When we train him, he understands the exercises, the drills, he understands the information we're giving him. And now it's a question of him, when he gets his chance to get on the field of play and show how good he is, that's when he'll have to take that chance, because that's really what playing professional football is all about. But people shouldn't forget he's 19 years of age, so, you know, and it's not going to be a question of in a week or two he's suddenly going to become Lionel Messi. That's not the way it works. But as a 19-year-old, he's making good progress, as I would say are people like David Oza and Jez Raksaki. I would put them in exactly the same category.
And in the week, Mark Gahey came on for England, an important match to help them qualify for Euro 2024. Just what have you made of his progression? He seems to be the centre-back behind John Stones and Harry Maguire at the moment.
I don't know if he's behind them. I mean, you'd have to ask Gareth Southgate which position he holds in the pecking order. I think he's an outstanding good centre-half. I can only back up, I think, that what Gareth Southgate said when he was asked about him, that I would have said almost verbatim what he said. He's an extremely good player. We need him in the team, just like we need his partner Joachim Andersen. They're a very strong defensive central duo for me, and both are doing well with their national team. So it's happy days in that respect, and it will be up to Gareth to decide, which players he wants to use. But I think he realises, like I do, that every time he picks Mark Gay, he won't be disappointed in any way, and he certainly won't be let down in any way, because that's how good Mark Gay is as a player.
Okay, Rachel, anything? No. Okay, that concludes the broadcast section. Thank you. Who wants to